Welcome to the Fourth Branch program. Glad you can make it. I am MD. This program is dedicated exclusively for those with common sense, a spirit of patriotism, and a determination for a more perfect union. Stay tuned as we begin the discussion of a very important, interesting, and enlightening topic. Hope to hear from you soon. Happy listening. Ignorance is the biggest threat to any democracy. John F. Kennedy said that the ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of us all. Hello everyone, I am MD and this is the Fourth Branch program. First, a warning. This program is not suitable for all audiences. I repeat, the content of this program is not for everyone. To find out if it's suitable to you, please answer the following two questions. Question number 1. Would you entrust your teenage daughter to a known rapist? Question number 2. Would you have a known pedophile cared for your toddler? Once again, question 1. Would you entrust your teenage daughter to a known rapist? Question 2. Would you have a known pedophile cared for your toddler? Your time is up. If you had difficulty answering either question, this program is not for you. If you answer yes to either or to both questions, this program is definitely not for you. But if both of your answers are absolutely not, this program is catered exclusively for you. You should stick around. It is enlightening, informational, and informative and educational. Join me here on the Fourth Branch at 10:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. every Saturday. What happens when half the nation goes nuts? Marcus Cicero, who is a Roman philosopher in 63 BC, said, "Any man can make mistakes, but only an idiot persists in his error." And we have a contemporaneous politician, Ron Paul, who is the father of Rand Paul, current senator from Kentucky, who said, "Real patriotism is a willingness to challenge the government when it's wrong." Today, it is almost impossible to imagine a state of chaos close to what the country is in. Not even the creative minds in Hollywood could have possibly come up with the scenarios of a country which has for a leader a bona fide complete moron, incapable of any self-control, deprived of any human rationale, full of himself, totally disorganized, completely incompetent, unable to form an 8th grade sentence, and fully detached of any apathy. And yet, he managed to have a faithful following of smart, educated, and yes, successful individuals, but who are also deprived of any common sense. No, as I just mentioned, Hollywood couldn't possibly have achieved such feat. There are plenty of creative writers in Hollywood, we know that. There are many talented actors, but it is, however, most unfortunate that what we are talking about here is not a movie script. It is what life in the United States has become since the election of Donald Trump to the presidency. Many had called him a moron, an imbecile, an idiot, a demagogue.
I'm not going to try to get into the mind of Donald Trump because I don't think there's a whole lot of space there. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office. And I'm a Republican and he's not. He's not a conservative Republican. He's an opportunist. He could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and 25 or 30% of the people would still follow him because he gives voice to their anger and their frustration. But he's not fit to be President of the United States.
We are not going to turn over the conservative movement to a con artist who is telling people one thing but has spent 40 years sticking it to working Americans and now claims to be their champion. We are not going to turn over the conservative movement to a con artist who is telling people one thing but has spent 40 years sticking it to working Americans and now claims to be their champion.
What if hip-hop never existed? Do you think there'd be as many heads screaming out, "Stop snitching"? What if Adam and Eve ain't eat the fruit? You think we'd be able to see the truth?
Ignorance, they say, is the biggest threat to any democracy. Indeed, it is. Plato, a Greek philosopher born in 427 BC, said that ignorance is the root and stem of all evil. Today, members in the Republican Party wear ignorance as a badge of honor, while the rest of the country watch powerless the destruction of a country which was once the envy of the world. The media is the enemy of the country, said Donald Trump. The Democrat legislators are obstructionists for not going along with everything the president wants. The Department of Justice is biased for investigating corruption in the Trump administration. This is the United States of America. Any question? Join me here on the Fourth Branch at 10:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. every Saturday. Yes, they had called him a moron, an imbecile, an idiot, a demagogue, and yet they had since shamelessly folded their tails between their legs to serve the grandmaster idiot in all his glory. As if that's not enough debasing themselves, they have worked to please him and have managed thus far to drag the country down the darkest bottom pit of history. The French element of our society, the racist, the misogynist, the ill-informed, the miseducated have all come out of the cage they once resigned themselves, awaiting for their lives to end, to now making the 6 o'clock news, perpetrating mass murder, and attempting to sow panic through terrorist action. It would have been impossible for Hollywood gals and guys to cook up such macabre and yes, sad story of a country which was once the envy of the world. It is much too real. Although the story has not yet ended, it is beyond the realm of possibility that a hero would be able to save those lost souls from their own destructive action. The United States of America is indeed in dire need of a leader who knows the way and is willing to go all the way. In 1996, a small network by the name of Fox News was launched with just 17 million viewers. Today, with over 100 million people watching regularly, Fox has become the greatest threat to our democracy, constantly bombarding the airwaves with false information, distortion of facts, and outright lies, presenting to its audience as news. Fox has created an army of blissful ignorance. According to a recent survey, 82% of Fox viewers are ignorant of facts and the truth. To keep millions of people in ignorance not only prevents democracy from flourishing, but it also clears the path to authoritarianism, to dictatorship. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." Let me finish by saying that democracy cannot survive in an environment where truth and facts do not matter. At Fox, truth and facts do not matter. Indeed, democracy in America is in jeopardy. It is a crisis the country can no longer ignore. Dwight Eisenhower said, "A people that values its privileges above its principles soon loses both." We as a country are at that exact moment in time. It is uncertain if there is a way or even the time to reverse that trend. Recently, 3 years ago to be exact, everyone in the nation agreed Donald Trump represented a sideshow in the presidential election. There was no way in the world we, the American people, would ever pick a nutcase to be the leader of the nation. God forbid, the world. A year later, in 2016, those who are still sound-minded learn in the most painful way that half the nation has already been nuts. What was missing was the clown master to get the circus on the road. A circus it has been. 3 years later, today the sound-minded who still roam the street in the nation have come to accept there may not be much hope for this country until a real leader, a true patriot, emerges and does good by the nation. 3 days ago, while the nation was reeling in panic at the news that packages containing explosive material were being mailed across the country to prominent figures in the Democratic Party, most clown in the Republican Party, the likes of Sean Hannity, Ann Coulter, Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, you get the gist. We're busy advancing conspiracy theory. It's all a hoax, they said. The Democrats are behind the whole thing, despite the fact that all evidence pointed to the possibility the individual is most likely a Trump supporter. Yes, while a serious, dangerous terrorist act such as this could have cost the lives of many, the Republican pundit with a microphone couldn't help themselves. It was the making of the Democrat, they said. I must admit, I had to take a deep breath. A real deep breath. If you ever felt that your head is about to explode or the space around you is shrinking, it'd be easy to understand how sound-minded individuals in the United States must feel amidst this cacophony of idiocy, stupidity, and lunacy nurtured in the Republican Party. My mom used to say that clowns have no use but for the entertainment of the kids who laugh at their stupidity, and did. Today, millions of people watch Fox. Listen to those clowns who can only make sense in a fictional world, but sadly, those clowns are not as stupid as they look. They rely on the naiveness, the gullibility, and yes, the ignorance of their audiences to preserve their wealth, to keep a job, and to work for an organization which would burn the country down if it means to increase their revenues to make a profit. The country be damned. George Washington warned us all to guard against the imposture of pretended patriotism. Yes, those are the same individuals who claim to be patriots, who try to shame those who protest against government wrongdoing. Yes, those are the very individuals George Washington warned us against. We should now understand why Washington said it is far better to be alone than to be in bad company. How does someone with a strength of intelligence go along with nutcases such as those? We know it's impossible to rid society of all bad elements. It has never been done before. Psychologists, psychiatrists have been trying for as long as the 1st century before Christ to solve the mystery of the mind. They are no closer today. So it is no hope to pretend a hero in a cape would come to save America and pull it from the bottom of the pit it has fallen. The most we can hope for is for sound-minded individuals to preserve their sanity in a world of nuts. Most sound-minded individuals have tiptoed around the craziness in the nation. It is time we call the devil by its name. It is time we confront the devil. Indeed, it is time. In 1996, a small network by the name of Fox News was launched with just 17 million viewers. Today, with over 100 million people watching regularly, Fox has become the greatest threat to our democracy. Constantly bombarding the airwaves with false information, distortion of facts, and outright lies, presenting to its audience as news, Fox has created an army of blissful ignorance. According to a recent survey, 82% of Fox viewers are ignorant of facts and the truth. To keep millions of people in ignorance not only prevents democracy from flourishing, but it also clears the path to authoritarianism, to dictatorship. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." Let me finish by saying that democracy cannot survive in an environment where truth and facts do not matter. At Fox, truth and facts do not matter. Indeed, democracy in America is in jeopardy. It is a crisis the country can no longer ignore. Ignorance, indeed, is the biggest threat to our democracy. However, the greatest threat is the fact that the ignorant are ignorant of their own ignorance. The revered leader lies to everyone about everything. Their admired spokesmen and spokeswomen speak deliberately to misguide them, to misinform them, to mislead them. How does one get out of ignorance when he is subscribed to listen to other ignorant? It is much like a blind leading the blind, the Bible says. We know it is so. According to a survey conducted a few months ago, more than 82% of those who are faithful viewers of Fox are ignorance of facts and the truth. When half the nation goes nuts, it is time for the sound-minded individual to redouble their effort. For the country is not divided between Democrats and Republicans, but rather between those who seek knowledge and those who choose to stay and live in ignorance. No, the United States is not divided between Democrats and Republicans. It is divided between those who seek the truth and the wisdom and those who promote and enjoy falsehoods. The country is divided between those who make use of their brains and those who have outsourced theirs. The United States of America is in dire need of a leader who knows the way and is willing to go all the way. Ignorance, they say, is the biggest threat to any democracy. Indeed, it is. Plato, a Greek philosopher born in 427 BC, said that ignorance is the root and stem of all evil. Today, members in the Republican Party wear ignorance as a badge of honor, while the rest of the country watch powerless the destruction of a country which was once the envy of the world. The media is the enemy of the country, said Donald Trump. The Democrat legislators are obstructionists for not going along with everything the president wants. The Department of Justice is biased for investigating corruption in the Trump administration. This is the United States of America. Any question? Join me here on the Fourth Branch at 10:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. every Saturday. Donald Trump is wrong to call the media the enemy of the country. Adolf Hitler did exactly the same thing in 1933. Journalists are not in the business of fairness. Our business, our only business, is to be objective. It is our duty to hold Trump and every administration accountable. Today, it is urgent, it is necessary, it is critical. Our very freedom depends on it. Any man can make mistakes, but only an idiot persists in his error. Jesse Ventura said that there is much more to being a patriot and a citizen than reciting the pledge or raising a flag. Indeed. Today, the country is in a predicament that nobody could ever imagine. No, it is not about Democrat or Republicans. It is about the future of the country. It is about future generation. The Republican Party in particular has relinquished its duty, has relinquished its role in our government. When the framers of the Constitution created our government, they had 3 equal branches of the government. And the idea is to make certain when there is a rogue individual in the Oval Office, the legislative branch would put a check on that. The framers of the Constitution must have never thought that there would be 435 members in the legislative branch who would just relinquish their duty and not uphold the Constitution for which they were elected. Yes, we, American people, we, the constituent, we elected those individuals and we send them to Washington to represent our views, to make certain that the voices of the majority are heard. Just this year alone, the Republican Party has acted against the will of the people, against the wishes of the people. It is no time to be defending a political party. No, it is not time. The country for the past 2 years has suffered tremendously on the international stage, and locally, the presidency of the United States has suffered severe blows. No one can no longer believe what the President of the United States says. He has lied to everyone about everything. And yet, the very people who oppose his candidacy as President of the United States, the very people who could not possibly see any reason the nation would elect somebody who is so incompetent, someone who had a foul language, someone who doesn't even have the slightest idea how to run his own business, let alone a country. And yet today, the nation is watching the country going down the path to the bottomless pit without anyone, not in the Republican side, to say it is time to save the country from this complete moron. It is madness indeed. It seems there is no one, not in Washington, not in the media, no one seems to live in the world where those things are happening, where it is very clear that the individual who is the leader of the nation is incapable of fulfilling his task. The first task, the first words that came out of a president's mouth when he is sworn in is to protect the nation against all enemies and to uphold the Constitution of the United States, both of which Donald Trump has violated. And yet, the Republican Party, which has been in control of both houses since 2010, has not, as of date, performed a single investigation against the Trump administration. Ironically, there are currently 4 investigations being conducted against an administration that is no longer. Ironically, this is what the Republican Party has become. A party with no value, a party that claims to be Christian and yet has no Christian values, a party that claims to be conservative and yet would put the devil to shame. Yes, it is time. It is beyond time to get rid of everyone who was elected to be a representative for the people, but has relinquished his or her duty as a representative for the people. It is time we put aside political affiliation. It is time we put aside political ideology, because the country needs saving. If it's not for yourself, at least for future generation, for your kids, for your grandkids, for your great-grandkids. The United States of America is in dire need of a leader. I do thank you for taking the time to spend it with me. And I do have on the People Branch YouTube channel all the previous presentation we had, all the previous programs are located on the People Branch YouTube channel, which we will provide the information shortly. Do take a look. And if you have any question or any suggestion, we will appreciate hearing from you. Criticism, we take that as well, but criticism with solution. If you just need to criticize because you know how to tweet, that's not enough. We need to hear from you in order to advance the cause for which we have created this program. The ultimate objective is to achieve a more perfect union. We do not ascribe to a political party. Yes, it does sound sometimes that our words seems to be for one party instead of the other. It is because in this moment in time, it is imperative that we save the country from those who fail to do their job. Irrespective of political party, irrespective of political affiliation, our job as citizens of the country is to redeem the nation from those we elected to do the job. As Cicero said, any man can make mistake, and we have made mistake. We have elected the wrong people. We elected individuals who do not give a damn about the country, who do not give a hoot about the citizen of the state for which those individuals were elected. We made a mistake. But Cicero said, only idiot persists in his error. So let's not become idiots by persisting in voting those people back to office, because they have proven beyond a reasonable doubt they do not care about the United States of America. They do not care about the country. So it is time we, as citizens of the nation, save the country from those individuals. They no longer deserve to represent us. So I urge you this November 6th to do what is good for the country, not for your party, but for the country. The country is in dire need of being redeemed. And this time, we have the opportunity to do so. Thank you for watching. Have a good afternoon or a good evening, whichever that happened to be. I hope to see you next time. The Fourth Branch Podcast is brought to you in collaboration with the People Branch publication, which can be found on the People Branch website, located at peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org website, in which you will find a number of very interesting articles. My name is Mike Duchesne, MD for short. I hope you have a great afternoon or a great evening, whichever it happens to be. Hopefully you can join me again next time for another interesting episode of this podcast. That was the Fourth Branch, live from New York. Good day.